Hey everybody, it's Steve, Short Shift Garage again. Um, there's a little known phenomenon, so to speak, that occurs that I think a lot of people just ignore it. I don't. I, we haven't mentioned it before because, like I say, most people just ignore it. But if you're looking for accuracy, and I am, and you're looking for, to be a detail-oriented tuner, you need to start looking for things that, don't look normal. And we're going to talk about one of those things today that most people overlook. Um, and does it affect their tuning? Possibly. You won't know until, and a lot of the customers won't know either, but, it will have some effect, obviously. And so the subject today is adaptive barometric pressure. Okay, so you drive your car up the mountain and it goes up the mountain no problem at all. You drive your car down the mountain and goes down the mountain no problem at all. Well, that ain't the way it used to be. I remember when I was a kid, we'd go up, we'd leave California down in the flatlands over by the ocean, and my dad'd get off work late, and then here we go, off to the mountains. We'd head 3.5 hours later, we'd pull into the cabin. But we had to stop at about 2,500 feet in a little town there, and we'd switch to regular gas. Okay, and that was in a Pontiac 389, 64 Pontiac Bonneville with a 389. And so we'd switch over to regular gas because there was, the air, the oxygen in the air wasn't there to burn the premium. So my dad said, "Let's save some money," and off we go. And there was no ping, no nothing. And then we'd stop again. We'd get up, say up to the summit at Donner Summit, and my dad would get out and break out the wrench and adjust the timing a little bit. And then we'd be fine the whole time we were up there, and then we come back down and then get to Donner Summit, and my dad had backed that timing off a little bit, actually increased the timing back to where it was, and we'd come down the mountain and we'd get a full tank of gas at about 2,500, a little town called Auburn. We'd get a tank of gas there, and we put the premium back in the car. So that's how we used to handle it. In 1999, Daimler Chrysler came out and actually patented the process. So nobody else has it, okay? There we go. Dodge again, and something unique. People do things similar, other manufacturers do similar stuff, but it doesn't do it the same way that Dodge does it. And of course, why would you expect anything less? Dodge actually uses a pressure-based calculation so that if MAP is out of range and the pressure calculation doesn't match, it will adjust the barometric pressure that the PCM sees to match what the MAP sensor and the pressure ratio are predicting. It's kind of weird, but that's what it does. So barometric pressure can change even though it's not correct. Now, the problem with this is it can happen on a flat road. And you can get if everything lines up right, it can change the barometric pressure, or you just, you put your foot into it a little bit and boom, your barometric pressure changes. Does it hurt anything? No. But if you're tuning a car and you're mapping out, your fuel trims to update your VE tables with, it can actually push, because the P ratio is going to change. And if the P ratio changes, it can push that data into a cell that it doesn't belong in. So that trim information could actually be in a different cell, or especially when you're dealing with a neural network trainer and you're dealing with cam positions, it can certainly push it to a different cell. And then when you do your VE table updates, you're going to be off. Now, interpolation will take care of most of it, and that's what the PCM does inside, and it's another patented process. But I did find the patent information and everything on this. I've been digging at it all day long, because I knew it was a subject eventually we're going to have to address. And I'm going to show it to you. It's kind of, excuse me, we got wildfires going on. We had a bad thunderstorm a little while ago, and got wildfires going all over the area. So they're taking care of them. They're knocking them down, but the smoke's a little thick. Okay, so let me switch over to the desktop, and we're going to give ourselves an example here. So let's, I'm going to back this off. I know where it's at, pretty close. And when I started the car up, it grabbed the barometric pressure off the map sensor and says, here we go. That's where we're at. We're at 86.950. We've got a low coming in. Actually, that's what caused the thunderstorms. But now I get down here and I put a little throttle into it. Vacuum goes low, or vacuum goes high rather. Barometric pressure goes low. It's now out of the range that's acceptable because the pressure has changed. And watch what happens to the barometer, the barometric pressure. Oh, I'm all the way up here. That's like I just drove up a hill 200 feet tall. 228 feet tall is the actual difference. So this is the barometric adaptive doing what it thinks it needs to do. Now we know the barometric pressure is not 87, it's down here at 86 something. But the barometric adaptive kicked in and it changed it. Now here's what can be a problem. We do back-to-back wide open throttle pulls without stopping. It can get sticky. So I'm back down to 53. Vacuum's back to where it needs to be. It should go the other direction at this point, but it's not. It's stuck. It's not seen. It hasn't crossed those thresholds yet to where it says, hey, I need to go get a new reading on the barometer. Let's go recalculate it. So it doesn't go away until all the way down here. And now you see it coming back to normal. Yeah. So this is, in 15 minutes, you can have that much of a change around here in Nevada anyway. But you see now it's come back to almost normal again. But this is, that's two wide open throttle pulls. So one was, it shifted on the first one. It actually changed all the way down here until partial. You can see it changing there in the partial. That's a partial. I didn't even go wide open throttle. I'm like 37%, but I got my foot into it pretty good. I'm at 82% load. So the stars aligned and vacuum dropped and barometric pressure went high. So boom, it's saying, hey, the pressure ratio that I'm looking at is not aligning, and I've got to do an adjustment on the barometer. So, like I said, what can happen is this guy right here can change when it shouldn't be changing. So if we get into the middle of this here, see it changing? There it is. It's bouncing all over. Okay. And it shouldn't be. It should be stable. Well, this is what we have to account for, or we can account for, those changes. Some people just ignore it. Okay. You're going to see it. It's going to throw you, so I thought I'd tell you. But let's go back to, let's go ahead and go back to the desktop. To my webcam there. There we go. We're back. So That's what the interesting thing is about this. It can happen anytime. It doesn't just happen when you change elevations. Uh, so you need to account for it. And the simplest way that I've found without creating a bunch of elaborate filters, and I got to tell you, I did sit down and work out the filtering for it. And the problem with it is the filters only last a day. Barometric pressure changes again. I got to change the filter. So what I did find was I eliminated 90% of it by just never lowering my hit count below 15. I leave it at no less than 15, because that will get rid of those. It only happens there's only about 3% of the data that you'll be collecting that will be affected, and that 15 hit count seems to be enough to get rid of those hits, those areas, and we just don't use them. I will take the time, I promise I will do this. I will take the time to go ahead and create a filter that will work. It's going to be part math, part filter. So it'll have two components, and it will fit in. The math side will work with your fuel trims, and so that you can just it'll be, once you have the math component side basically set up, all you have to do is assign it, and then that will take care of that. And then it's just one small filter if I do it right. I have to test it. I want to make sure it's working. But I'll put that up on the Google Drive, and you guys can go grab it anytime you want. Don't forget that stuff's up there. There was a question about where I was activating for temperature, engine coolant temperature. I changed it to 105. And I did that because there's some areas that we actually want to gather data there. The fuel trims, okay? So it's not cold, but it's not warm either. And there's some valuable data there. What we want to do is try to, without getting crazy on that, we want to try to clean that area up just after cold start. So this time of year, I back out of my driveway and I'm already at 105. So it doesn't make any difference. But you can change that to whatever you want. If you want to change that engine coolant temp to 165 or 185, you can do that any way you want to. It's not going to make a huge difference. Alrighty, so I will get those changes up there in the next couple of days, and I'll do a video. We'll do a demonstration. I'll demonstrate how it cleans it up, and I might even get that done tomorrow if I get a chance. Got nothing else to do. It's Sunday. Got to go to church. Get done with that. Wash the car. If it's not snowing ashes from the fires. So, anyway, we'll talk to you later. Hey, like and subscribe, guys. Let's get this stuff going, please. Y'all take care. Have a good one. Bye.